Next up are numbers. We've already used them in a couple of tutorials. And you store them in a let type variable. Let us call it x. We use the document.write to print x. And here we can see the 10 now. You can also use them to perform calculations. So let me declare a variable y of 15 and now write x plus y. So this should give us 25. But what if we make this a variable with quotation marks? Well, then now it's a string. And this leaves us with something called concatenation. So the x is written not as a number, but as a string. Same goes for the y if we give that quotation marks. And then we can't perform this calculation anymore. But this only works, or this only true for the plus sign. I'm going to show this later on. We can also store decimals here. And without quotation marks, we can use that in calculations. We can also use exponents. So 10e2 would be 10 times 10 times 10. So therefore 1000. And a 1000 plus 15.35 gives us, with 1015.35, e1 would be 100, therefore 115.35. So the e is just an exponent. e1 would be 10 squared, e2 would be 10 times 10 times 10, and so forth. Let me cut out this. So 10e2 would therefore be 1000. Just for explanation. This also works in the negative exponent direction. -1 would reduce 10 to 1. So e minus 1 would be 10 with an exponent of -1, and therefore it would be 1. 1 added to 15.35 is 16.35. -2 would be 0.1, so e minus 2 is 10 with an exponent of -2, and this leaves us with 0.1. Let's get back to the concatenation. So what we have here is x plus y, and you also use plus, for example, for strings. So if you have a first name and a last name, you can use the plus in between to add them, and therefore in JavaScript or the browser, it doesn't really know, do you want to have the string now or do you want to have a number? By default, it uses the string then. Let us check the division. So 20 divided by 10 gives us 2. If we put that in quotation marks, this still gives us 2. But that doesn't work for plus. So whenever there's plus, browser doesn't know, do you want to have a number here or a string? And by default, it uses a string. And then it concatenates these two values. I believe I've misspelled that here. It's concatenation. But this confusion, this doesn't apply when we have, for example, a divider or we use times. So let me show that again. We have 20 and 10 in quotation marks used, and we make that y times x, and we get 200. Or when we use plus, we will get 20 and then 10, as both are seen as strings and not as numbers anymore. So be careful with your quotation marks. It's a good idea to never write your numbers in quotation marks so that problems with concatenation don't even arise. Let me set one value to a car. And now it says NaN, and is short for not a number. So whenever you want to perform a math operation without actually having a number, this is the error or the message that you're going to get. Now let us divide something by 0, and this leaves us with infinite. So 50 divided by 0 is infinite, and this gives us infinity. We can also create minus infinity when we change 50 to minus 50. These are the basics of using numbers in JavaScript. Again, just like with the strings, we're going to use this quite a lot in future tutorials. I think it's pretty straightforward. Hope this video was helpful, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.